What's going on, everyone? So, it looks like it is official. Isabel May has been cast as Sidney's daughter in the upcoming Scream 7. Now, I know Discussion Film put Sidney and spelt it wrong, right, with the Y instead of an I, but this was just the first one that I saw that released it, but came from The Hollywood Reporter, Bloody Disgusting, and several others have confirmed this as well. So again, looks like Isabel May is set to play Sidney Prescott's daughter, which I think is very interesting, right? Because she is 24 years old. Now, that doesn't mean that she has to play a 24-year-old, but I've talked about Sidney's daughter could essentially be up to 24 years old. The beauty of us only seeing the child in the stroller and her relaying to Dewey that, like, hey, you know, I got to get the girls to school, could mean any age, right? Like, they could have been, back when Scream 5 was around, they could have been 16, 15, 12, right? Like, so you have some wiggle room, and we don't know how old the other daughters. I mean, you know, some parents drop their kids off to college, right? And it would make sense that Sidney would be close to her mother, or Sidney would be close to her daughter. Supposedly, Sidney's daughter's name is supposed to be Tatum, after, obviously, Tatum Riley, Dewey Riley's sister, as well as Sidney's best friend. Now, as far as Isabel May goes, I'm not, like, super familiar with her, but she has been in things like Young Sheldon, I Want You Back, 1923, 1883, these, like, historic pieces, Run, Hide, Fight, back in 2020, Alexa and Katie. And so she is an actress that is expected to fill some pretty big shoes here, right? She's playing a very important role in the Scream franchise. You're talking about Sidney Prescott's daughter. This isn't like some, you know, like, oh, she's just playing some random one-off character or anything, right? Like, there's a lot of pressure for this, so she's really going to have to deliver. And we could be looking at the face of the franchise going forward. Seriously, it's very possible that we could be looking at her kind of being the character that is going to be the Sidney Prescott role going forward. I do want to say, on everything I love, she better not be the killer. If they make Sidney's daughter the killer, I am going to lose my mind. Seriously. Can we get away from the brothers, cousins, nephews, uncle, or, you know, the niece or whatever? Can we get away from, like, family? How many family members want to kill Sidney Prescott, right? I understand that there's probably going to be some conflict. I understand that there's probably going to be some struggle, right? Sidney Prescott, based on kind of word that's coming out, obviously take everything with a grain of salt until it's confirmed. But your chances are Sidney's going to be very overbearing. She's going to be that, you know, overprotective mother, which is completely understandable given Sidney's past, right? So you can see, especially a rebellious young teenager, right? Like, you're going to get that. But that doesn't mean she has to be the killer. If you want to use her as a red herring and stuff, like, sure, fine, okay. Do not make her the killer. I'm telling you, I will lose my marbles if that ends up happening. But I also think it's interesting because McKenna Grace was heavily rumored to be in negotiations, and she still may end up being in the film. But she was supposed to play Sidney's daughter, which, by the way, clearly they have a type, right? You look at McKenna Grace and you look at Isabel May. There's some similarities there, right? So obviously they have a type and an idea of what they want Sidney's daughter to look like. McKenna Grace doesn't appear to be playing Sidney's daughter unless, you know, maybe it's twin girls or something like that. I mean, again, the possibilities are technically endless, right? They could do all kinds of things. Maybe she has twin girls, and that's what she meant by the girls, right? Like, would she have called them the twins? Maybe, but, you know, everyone's kind of different, right? Like, so I do think that is something kind of interesting, and it also goes to show that, you know, take everything with a grain of salt, because there was a lot of reports, a lot of rumors going around of McKenna Grace playing this role. And again, maybe she does. Maybe she plays one of the other daughters or something, right? Because, you know, Sidney has multiple daughters, so they both could be playing daughters. So I'm not saying that it's not still going to happen that way, but it just goes to show, like, you know, take things with a grain of salt. This is why I'm very adamant about, like, don't just assume that everything that we talk about is factual. I'll always let you know when this is, okay, this seems to be confirmed and this doesn't, right? I'm always going to be real and honest with you. But, you know, Sidney Prescott, right? Again, this film is about her and her family. And I love that. You have a real opportunity here to kind of get into something that you never really had in the Scream franchise, right? We've never seen a family get targeted. We've seen family members and whatnot. We've seen, Jill go after her mother and stuff like that. But this is a new dynamic. You have Sidney, her husband, her children, all very likely going to be targeted. And supposedly Patrick Dempsey, which I'm going to cover in a separate video, but supposedly Patrick Dempsey is close to being in this upcoming film and reprising his role. So that would be really great as well. Kind of cover all the bases and really get this family dynamic involved, which I do believe he will be, because again, if you're casting the daughter, you're probably going to get the father. Like, how long can you kind of tiptoe around Mark Kincaid not being in the Scream movies, right? At some point, right, you got to have him involved, especially when you established him as Sidney's husband. But like I said, I mean, Isabel May, she does. She has her hands full with this role, right? This is not something that you can just take lightly. This is a very big, significant role for us Scream fans, right? Again, this is Sidney's daughter. But again, this is an actress that may end up being the face of the franchise going forward. She needs to do right by this, right? Like, there's a lot of pressure in a lot of ways for this. But I do believe that, she'll kill it. I do think that, I trust them to kind of get it right. My concern has been more the writing. Hopefully we get some just better writing, better consistency in that regard. But, time will tell, right? Like, we need proper character development, right? That's very key. That's very important. It's one thing to have the characters in place. Another thing to actually write them properly, tell a good story, do all that stuff. I really feel like Scream 5 and 6 have really lacked character development, right? Thought they did a little better job in Scream 6, but not great, right? And we need to get back to character development. I mean, look at Scream 96. To this day, we still love those characters. To this day, many people want, Randy back, and, Tatum. Maybe she has a twin sister, right? That can come back. And then obviously the Stu Macher thing is alive and very well, right? Like, that movement is thriving in a lot of ways. But again, like, you need to have the proper story. You need to have the proper character development. I don't want character development to get lost. Like, obviously we want great kills. Obviously we want, to see Ghostface and Sidney and her family and stuff like that. But you have a real opportunity here to establish a real true family dynamic. To have Sidney Prescott with her husband and her kids. We've never gotten that. We've never seen that. And this is a real moment here that we're going to actually get to see this kind of take place and unravel. And I, for one, am very excited for it. But I don't want to see them drop the ball. I need to see this flushed out properly. And, again, Isabel May and whoever else you cast to play a significant role like this, they have a lot of pressure, right? Like, you're playing Sidney's daughter and may end up being the face of the franchise going forward. Unless they're going to kill Sidney's daughter, which I don't think that they would do. I mean, I wouldn't completely put it past them, but I don't think that is something they would do. But regardless, whatever they end up doing, right, you got to do it right. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think that, like, yeah, look, you gotta do the proper story. You gotta do the development. You gotta develop Sidney's children in the proper manner. Do you like the idea of Isabel May kind of taking the mantle and being Sidney's daughter? Did you want McKenna Grace? Do you think that they still may end up having both? Like I said, you could do both, right? You could have one be the big sister, right? And then Isabel could be the big sister, and then McKenna could be the little sister. Boom. There you go. And, now you have Sidney and her children and her daughters, and they're kind of the ones moving forward. And you kind of do the Sam and Tara route, right? Like, something that you could easily do. But lastly, do you think that there is a lot of pressure on Isabel May to step up and deliver to the plate, right? The fact that, again, she's playing Sidney's daughter, right? Like, do you think that is something that, like, yeah, you can't take that lightly? That is such a significant role, such an important role. And then, like I mentioned, her potentially being the face of the franchise. Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, either way, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, If you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.